Christy Carter of Global Positive News Network, and I have the privilege of introducing to you David Jones, one of the co-founders of the Center for Collaboration Research, or CCR, is a nonprofit print shop, workspace, and gallery that brings together, under professional guidance, a diverse community of youth, emerging and established artists, and the public to advance the fine arts of printmaking and papermaking by integrating education with the creation of prints and paper, and by promoting research, education, and exploration. Wow, David, I love what you're doing. It's a great idea. What a great idea. And then also you have a kind of a new thing. I was exploring your website. It's called POW, or Press on Wheels, which is a brilliant idea. And that brings the press and printmaking to schools, community centers, museums, libraries, and other institutions for workshops and demonstrations. Right. And then the other thing that I really liked on your website is kind of like your mission statement.
Mouthful, huh?
I got it. Okay, here we go. It is only through partnerships and collaboration that enables to get things done and offer outstanding programs to our community. So well done. I really like what you're doing, David. It's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank
you. So just, how did you start this foundation?
Well, we started, before we became the Center for Collaborative Research, we ran an organization for 25 years. My wife and I co-founded the organization. Well, it's been about 30 years now. Mm-hmm. We basically were in Chicago. There were no print shops, and I was trained as a printmaker. I worked with a print shop in Chicago where we would work with artists doing fine art limited edition prints in very traditional ways, in lithography, mm-hmm. etching, cuts, so on. And I really loved that process. It's very physical, it's very hands-on, but also very challenging in terms of skill development and problem solving and mm-hmm. integrating these kind of skills that I think are so important.
Yeah.
So mm-hmm. when I left my job, it was like, well, now what? What do I do? And it really, working with artists and collaborating with artists is an amazing experience, and mm-hmm. something that I really relished and really cherished those moments. But then it was kind of like I needed something else. There was something else, and a community element was really a part of that. Okay. And I was thinking about being able to provide an environment where young people could come and work and have these kinds of very formative experiences, and also kind of a safe space. And that was kind of the name Anchor Graphics. We came up with that as Anchor is a symbol of hope. So it's mm-hmm. not just a nautical thing, but it's also, I think it has a long history. So mm-hmm. we wanted to provide a place where people could come, young people, old people. There was no kind of criteria other than their interest to learn and to experience and to explore. Mm-hmm. So that's how we started. And when we started, we basically had this idea, and because it was not a revenue-generating organization, we figured out, well, maybe being a nonprofit was the best way to go. Mm-hmm. So we set up a 501c3 and ran that for 25 years. About in 2006, we were invited to become a part of Columbia College Chicago.
Wow.
The idea being that we would be under their umbrella and we would continue to do the things that we always do or always mm-hmm. did. Mm-hmm. And that went really well. And then the fortunes of Columbia College changed, I think, as the enrollment plummeted. And so I think the college was looking for low-hanging fruit, and we were unfortunately one of those.
That's great. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Is that the Columbia University? I mean, I should know that.
It's Columbia College Chicago. It's a private college, and it's a fine art college. A great place.
Okay.
But when their enrollment dropped and they cut our program, I was basically invited to become an administrator, and I tried that for a while, and I just couldn't do it, so I left. So Marilyn and I relocated to Kenosha, mm-hmm. and Columbia College wanted to retain the name Anchor Graphics. So it was like, okay, now what? Mm-hmm. So we started another 501c3 and called it the Center for Collaborative Research. So it's it's a mouthful, but the idea of collaboration is so important, and I think really leads the way. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, it really says who you are and what you believe in that one word, collaboration. And that's why, you know, you're a perfect fit for our interview here at Global Positive, because we're all about working together and collaborating, right?
Exactly.
And doing all these wonderful things in the world. It's just fantastic. And you are just a wonderful entrepreneur and an artist all together. It's great. I love your energy and your go-get-em attitude. It's very awesome. It's good. It's good. So what do you wish to accomplish?
Well, I think right now what's been really interesting is I'll be 70 next year, and
oh my gosh, wonderful.
So one of the things that I, you know, we have a limited amount of time, and so one of the things that Marilyn and I are both doing now is we're working with a board of directors. Most of these individuals are in Milwaukee, and what we want to do is reestablish a bricks and mortar, and then help kind of establish that space, and then hand it off to the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of our goal. Right now, what we're doing, because we were given this Press on Wheels, this 2000 Ford E350 bus van thing, we are able to go around into community centers and events and doing pop-ups. I just did a pop-up at the Civil War Museum in Kenosha, and we gave away probably over 100 prints, just introducing young people to, actually people of all ages, kids of all ages, I say, to the kind of joys of printmaking and what that can do and what it means. And then we're actually just working with a group where it's the LGBT Center here in Racine, which is just a little bit north of us, about doing some educational programming with the kids there, young people there. So, you know, we're not done yet, apparently. So
no, it sounds like you're kind of just getting going.
We're just getting going. We're getting our second wind, I guess.
That is so neat. I like the idea. I saw the picture of you with the print machine coming out of the van. So it makes it a lot easier to, you know, show people how to do this anywhere.
Right, exactly. And actually, Marilyn Prop, who's an artist as well, got involved in paper making. So now she comes along, and we are able to make paper, and then we bring it back home and dry it, and then we're able to print on that. So not only are we showing printmaking now, we're also showing printmaking. People love getting their hands wet. So it's been kind of interesting to see how this is evolving. I'm thinking about the possibility of teaching kids how to make like small books that they can write in. We worked with a group of veterans a while back, and one of the things that and it's not our idea, but I really love the idea, and it's kind of we do similar things. Is the veterans would take their uniforms, cut them up, and we turn their uniforms into paper.
Good idea! Wow.
And then they could work out, you know, especially if they've had some kind of trauma, to write on that paper or to make drawings on it, and so it becomes this transformative kind of a situation. A couple of weeks ago, we worked with 20 kids who are survivors of violent trauma. And the fellow that I collaborated with, he had worked with the young people, and they had cut linoleum blocks, self-portraits, but then they had these kind of life affirmations written on these linoleum blocks, and then we printed those onto T-shirts.
Wow, that is
beautiful. And it was amazing. So the kids could wear these kind of embodiments of themselves and of their affirmation as a kind of a constant reminder, and it was just really moving.
Oh my God!
You know, to make this possible, and then in that we had some college students who were kind of helping, and so they're learning as well. So it's kind of becomes this kind of cyclical thing where people teach each other and learn from each other and share with each other, and I think I find that really exciting.
It's a healing process. It's a healing situation. It's therapeutic. It's connecting. It's collaborating. I love that. That's so wonderful. So what have you made? What kind of impact have you made in your community in the last 6 months?
Well, I think we're working with kids, and we're so it's really hard. it's hard for me to gauge what the impact is because it's kind of intangible. It's kind of an intangible. It's an internal thing. Maybe the impact will be when a young person gets a little older and they go, wow, that printmaking is really kind of interesting. And I really felt engaged during that time of making and exploration. And then we in our shop in Chicago, we would have interns, and some of those interns have gone on to they're teaching, they're involved in their own art practice, they're involved in the community, they've started their own organizations. So I think it's a very positive thing. I don't know if anyone's going to go out and be a printmaker and become a millionaire or something, you know, but I think that one-on-one, and that's how I really work best is working one person at a time.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's like giving someone permission to be who they are.
That's
I think
fabulous.
That's what this is about.
That's fabulous. Wow. So I have a question. Yeah, I have a question. So when you say printmaking, so do you like etch things down on the medium, and then, I mean, do you create the picture itself and then?
Absolutely. So this is a really like a fine art process. So we're not making, the first thing a lot of people say is, oh, you guys do envelopes or business cards, and we don't do any of that. We're basically, so it becomes like a drawing class, or maybe using photographs. So that the student can, or the individual can learn about self-expression, so drawing or using a photograph or a combination of processes. And then what we do is we teach, let's say you had mentioned etching or intaglio, which is really, intaglio is kind of a catchphrase. So drawing on a plate, etching that plate, and then inking it up and then printing it. Lithography as a whole involves stone, so it's very labor intensive, very process intensive. Screen printing is another, and reliefs. We've been doing a lot of relief printing because it's easy. There's really it's just about cutting something, But then the student has to learn how to write backwards, or and visualize things. So it's always a lot of fun.
That's amazing,
Yeah, so there's a lot of different processes that we can bring to the table, if you will.
You're making me think about a trip that my husband and I took like 20 years ago. We went to we were in the part of France where the Gutenberg press was.
Awesome.
We actually had dinner at the Gutenberg area. I mean, in the warehouse itself where the first printing was made.
Right. Awesome. That's great. Yeah. That's movable type. So that's a whole different. That's like letterpress, and that's really, it's what's interesting is that those kinds of they're experiencing a resurgence. I think a lot of young people are wanting to use their hands and learn about hand making and building and creating in a kind of an analog kind of way. So we're really facilitating that. But I'm working on a process right now where I'm actually using a laser to cut wood blocks.
Wow.
So
oh my gosh. I think of the laser beam with, Star Wars is going right through the wood or something like that.
That's exactly what it's doing. Exactly what it's doing. And it's a very small unit, but what that does is then we talk about the idea of using technology and then taking it back to the 1700s.
Yeah. Yeah.
The art and technology don't have to be, divorced of one another. They can work together and celebrate one another's strengths and weaknesses. So I love that kind of stuff.
It's a new creation of a whole new art. It's incredible. Yeah, fantastic. Let's see here. So, what projects do you have coming in the near future?
Well, actually, I just got off did an email with a group just a little bit north of us, the LGBT group. They're a small group of trans kids that need a place, and they've invited us to come in and work with the kids. And we're still trying to figure that out. That'll happen probably in January.
Oh, nice! That's coming up.
Yeah. So, and then we'll probably be working with some high schools and the Boys and Girls Clubs. We do projects with them, and we'll probably be doing some free programming with them, or we bring our truck over and work. But when the snow starts piling up, it gets a bit tough to cart that thing around. So
I would think, yeah. So maybe it takes a little nap for a couple months, and then you bring it out in the spring.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We like being outside. One of the things I'm looking for a space in Milwaukee where we can. So maybe if we can get that going, we'll be doing a build out so that we can actually have a brick and mortar in the spring, and then use that as like a community access. We actually end up getting almost all of our equipment back from Columbia College, so it's in storage right now. So we're having to pay storage, which I hate.
Yeah,
But,
so the college is storing all your stuff, you're saying?
Well, they said come and get it.
Okay. They want to. Oh, so you got storage.
And we did, and we got it, and it's in storage in Milwaukee. So
gotcha.
It's kind of it's exciting. Now it's kind of like, how am I going to pay for that? Because that's the challenge, of course, with everything.
You can start selling some of your prints. I mean,
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, really, I think that would be kind of a neat thing to have on your website as well. Some things that you've done, because I'd love to see what you've done.
Oh, okay, that's a good idea. I'll take that under advisement. That's kind of like we're doing we just finished doing a GoFundMe.
Oh, good.
So that's we're getting little dribbles of money in that way, and that just goes for support. So.
Oh, that's great. That's good. There's so many neat things that we can do now to help each other fund our businesses.
Yeah.
I love that. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. So, David, what positive news do you have for our viewers today?
Well, I think in terms of positive news, I think that creating and being seeking out creative outlets, being whether it's printmaking or for me it's printmaking, but for somebody else it might be pottery or writing poetry or painting or whatever, making sculpture. Doesn't matter. I think what's important, especially in these times, that being in touch with that creativity really helps us kind of open up our worlds and open up to one another. And I think that's what's going to get us through all this stuff.
That's beautifully said. Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. That's great. Great images that David has put up that, of their shows and some fairs and things like that. There's a spot where you can donate. You can become a sponsor or even a partner. So that's a really good way to get more involved in helping the community there in Wisconsin. And, it's just a fantastic collaboration for printmakers and for kids and everybody to just be more expressive. So David, thank you again so much for that.
It's been a pleasure, and thank you for inviting me, Christy. It's really an honor, and thanks a lot.
You're so welcome, and I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you have a nice winter and happy holidays. The holidays are here already.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, David. Take care. We'll talk to you later. All right. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.